So this is a detailed lecture on machines chapter. I'm dividing this chapter into two parts. The first part would be the levers, and the second would be the pulleys. Now, all the questions which I have taken in this lecture, they have been taken either from the last year specimen papers, or they have been, actually asked in the board questions. So three levers X, Y, Z of equal lengths are shown. So this is the fulcrum. This is the fulcrum. This is the fulcrum. We understand that this is a load. This is a load. This is a load. This would be the effort. So load and effort are on opposite sides. So this is a class 1 lever. Which class of the lever do these belongs to? So we understand that this is a class 1 lever. And the next part is among X, Y, Z, which one will give the maximum mechanical advantage? Now, see, mechanical advantage is given by efficiency into VR. I will take the ideal condition. I'll assume that these are ideal. It's absolutely okay. So efficiency is 1. Now, velocity ratio is given by dE by dL. So mechanical advantage would be given by dE by dL. So mechanical advantage would be given by dE by dL. And now when the question is being asked, which will give the maximum mechanical advantage, the figure which has more dE than dL. So whichever figure has more dE than dL would give me a maximum mechanical advantage. So dE is to dL ratio is maximum in this case 1, because this is dE and this is dL. So case 1 would be my correct answer. I'll erase so that you can see it properly. So it is pretty obvious that here the dE would be much larger than the dL. So in case 1, the mechanical advantage would be maximum. Again, a good question. This is a simple question. This is taken from your book, from your Selena book. They have given the example also. This is a class 2 lever. So name the class of the lever shown in the picture below. So it's a bottle opener. So class 2. You can look at your book notes, textbook, and they have mentioned it here. Bottle opener. So it's a class 2 lever. Okay. Now again, let's jump to the next question. Again, it's one of the simple questions. Diagram below shows a claw hammer used to remove nail. Again, this is a simple question which is there mentioned in the textbook also. This is a class 1 lever. You can have a look at your textbook. They would have mentioned it. Yeah, this is a claw hammer. Looks like this. Okay. Give one more example of the same class of lever mentioned by you for which mechanical advantage is greater than 1. So now about class 1 levers, what you need to understand is because they can have mechanical advantage greater than 1, equal to 1, less than 1. So they have specifically asked you that we want a class 1 lever whose mechanical advantage is greater than 1. So you can write it as a plier. Can write it as a plier. So this would be the correct answer. So let's move to the next lever question. Again, simple question, not a very difficult question. Identify the class of lever shown in the diagram below. The lever is on the one side, on the extreme side. Effort is here. So this is an example of class 3 lever. You know that. You don't know that. You should know that. How is it possible to increase the mechanical advantage of the above lever without increasing its length? Without increasing its length. So this becomes a very interesting question. Now, let's try to understand. See, mechanical advantage is given by efficiency into velocity ratio. I'm taking a very simple case where the efficiency is 1. So mechanical advantage is equal to 1 multiplied by, we know that the velocity ratio is given by dE by dl. dE, this would be the dE, and this one would be the dl. Now, I want to increase the mechanical advantage. If I want to increase the mechanical advantage, so let me compare. Let me uh, let me take a guess. Let me assume that this dE is 1 and this dl is 2. Let me say that dE is 1 centimeter and dl is 2 centimeter. Let me assume. So if you see that the ratio of dE to dl would be 1 by 2. Now, you can look at this question, how is it possible to increase the MA of the above without increasing its length? You can look at this question in a sense, just to understand that, the initial mechanical advantage was 0.5 and you want to increase it. Now just try to, think it over. How will you be able to increase this ratio from 0.5 to above? One simple thing that you can do is, if you look closely, if you can, from 2, if you can decrease this, if you can decrease the denominator of this ratio. How do I increase the denominator of a ratio? By, decreasing the DL. So let me assume that I bring my load here. If you see, what I have done is, I have decreased the, if you see, what I have done is, I have decreased the, I have decreased the load distance. By decreasing the load distance, what I have done is, I have decreased the denominator and consequently I will increase the mechanical advantage. Just to take an example, let me assume that the new DL is 1.5 centimeter. So if you see the new mechanical advantage would be equal to 1 upon 1.5. This would be 10 upon 15. This would be 0.67. So from 0.5, I've increased it to 0.67 by decreasing the load distance. I hope it is clear. That is why I took, numerical example. I took figures so that you can understand it well. Or if you are not able to understand it well, then the very simple thing is just look at this DL and you can write it. And you can write it that by decreasing the load distance, because you have decreased the denominator, you can increase the mechanical advantage. Either way you can take. I'm sorry. Okay. Then next, so Anita used a single movable pulley to lift a bucket from well. She lubricates the belly. Which of the following is true regarding the performance of the pulley used? See, in all these questions, what you need to understand is that the formula that we have, that mechanical advantage is equal to efficiency into VR. See, what you can understand, and a thumb rule that you can understand is that velocity ratio. We know by definition it is the ratio of the distance moved by the effort and the distance moved by the load. So velocity ratio remains constant because the distance moved by the effort and the load remains constant. That will remain constant. In this case, single movable pulley. So it will have something, a configuration something like this. So here you will have effort and here you will have load. So the distance moved by the effort and the load would remain the same. So VR won't change. That anyways will remain constant. What will change is the mechanical advantage. How the mechanical advantage changes is that mechanical advantage is load by effort. Now, if you look closely, if you lubricate, the load will remain the same. So the weight of the bucket that it is pulling up will remain the same, but the effort will change once you lubricate. So as you less and less effort would be required as you lubricate more. So this denominator will decrease, and that is why this mechanical advantage will increase. Mechanical advantage will increase, the efficiency will increase, but the velocity ratio would remain the same. These kind of questions are asked, time and again in one form or the other. What you need to understand, one thing that you can always keep in mind is that the VR doesn't change. It is only the mechanical advantage and the efficiency which changes. So if the efficiency is increasing, the mechanical advantage will increase. If the efficiency is decreasing, the mechanical advantage will decrease. So VR remains the same. In all these kind of questions, these kind of questions are asked again and again. So if you look at all the choices, the only choice that makes sense is that the velocity ratio remains unchanged and the efficiency increases. Mechanical advantage decreases, efficiency increases. No, mechanical advantage also increases and the efficiency also increases. Velocity ratio increases, no, velocity ratio remains the same. Efficiency decreases, no, efficiency increases. Mechanical advantage remains unchanged, no, mechanical advantage increases. Efficiency also increases. In these kind of questions are asked, time and again, and we need to, keep this in mind. I have discussed this in detail in one of my videos also. I'll put the link also here. See, what you need to remember is that, it is only when we are dealing with ideal machines where the efficiency is 1. In that case, only the mechanical advantage is equal to velocity ratio. Otherwise, it is not equal to velocity ratio once the efficiency starts changing. So I hope this makes sense. So I wanted to spend some time on it because these are the kind of questions which will help you if there is a complicated question which is asked in pulley questions also. Then you will be able to do this kind of question if you understand the concept well. So let's move to the next question. The next question: block and tackle system of pulleys has a velocity ratio 4. Now, this velocity ratio 4, for some reason or the other, seems to be one of the favorite velocity ratio of in ICSE boards because these kind of questions, velocity ratio 4 has been asked time and again. So, velocity ratio 4, the setup would look something like this. Draw a label diagram indicating clearly the direction of load and effort. This is how the diagram would look like. I will be putting the effort here. Then there will be a load which will be here. Yeah. So direction of load and effort has been shown. These two would be connected. These two would also be connected. And one thing that you can keep in mind, one of the things that you can keep in mind is when the thread is the same, the rope is the same, the tension is the same. So if you want to show the direction of tension also, the tension would look something like this. This way, this way, this way, this way, and this way. So we know that another thing, it is not asked, but I just want to make this clear in this lecture. Always remember this part. Always remember this part. I have taken the scan from your textbook only. The velocity ratio is always equal to the number of strands of tackle or the number of sections supporting the load. So velocity ratio is always equal to the number of strands of the tackle. Number of supporting the load. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 strings which are supporting the load. So velocity ratio is 4. The second question, the second part, calculate the potential energy gained by a load of 100 kgf lifted by this pulley to a height of 5 meter. So potential energy is equal to mg delta h. We know that. In this case, what we need to understand is that 1 kgf, we need to understand the conversion factor. 1 kgf is 10 Newton because the g is given to be 10 meter per second square. So mg, which is given to be 100 kgf, So load which is given to be 100 kgf needs to be converted to newtons by multiplying by 10. So this is a newton multiplied by the delta H. Delta H would be 5. So this would be 5,000. 5,000. So this would be 5,000. Now, there is a similar kind of question with velocity ratio 4. There is a similar kind of question which has been asked in two other times. So I'll just discuss those times here also. Same velocity ratio of 4 was given. So if you look at in 2023, this question was asked, block tackle of velocity ratio 4. Draw a label diagram, direction of the load and effort. We have done that already. What is the value of mechanical advantage of the given pulley system if it is an ideal pulley system? So we know that mechanical advantage is equal to efficiency into velocity ratio. Now in this case, as I have already told you, the velocity ratio is 4 and it is also mentioned here. Efficiency, because it is an ideal system, so efficiency would be 1. So mechanical advantage would be 4. But as I've told you earlier, it is only in ideal condition that the mechanical advantage and the velocity ratio are the same. There is another time when this same question of velocity ratio 4 was asked. This is how the question looked like. This was asked in, I think this was asked in 2019. Maybe it was asked in 2019. So velocity ratio of 4. Draw a label diagram, done. What will be the velocity ratio if the weight of the movable block is doubled? Weight of the movable block is doubled. See, again, we'll be discussing this weight part also of the movable block. Going ahead, we'll be discussing that also. But here, the weight of the movable block will only affect the mechanical advantage. It will only affect the movable mechanical advantage. Velocity ratio won't get affected. Remember that. We'll be discussing this in detail going forward. But weight of the movable block, even if you double it, velocity ratio doesn't change, because velocity ratio is simply the distance moved by the load and effort. This remains same. Because this remains same, so that is why the VR doesn't get affected by the weight. So I hope you are clear with this question also. So that is why I told you that this velocity ratio of 4 has been asked time and again by the ICSE board. Let's move to the next question. Complete the following by choosing the correct answers from the bracket. The ideal mechanical advantage of a single movable pulley. Single movable pulley, it's an ideal mechanical advantage is load by effort. So of course this would be equal to 1. Simple question. This was a simple question, not a very tough question. Let's move ahead. So next question. The diagram shows a pulley arrangement. This is the pulley arrangement that was shown. Copy the diagram, mark the direction of tension on each of the strand of the string. So you have marked the tension. Now in pulleys, always remember that, when the rope is the same, this is a same rope, a single rope, the tension would remain the same. In a single rope, in a single unbroken rope, the tension would always be the same. This is a thing that you can remember, because in class 11th also you'll be doing a lot of pulley questions. So this is the thing that you can remember. So we have done this. What is the velocity ratio of the arrangement? So you know how to find the velocity ratio. So if I have to derive, what I'll do is this load would be equal to this 2t. The effort would be equal to t. Mechanical advantage would be equal to 2. Why? Because load upon effort. Load in this case is 2t and effort is t. So that is why I got this 2. And No, because this is the ideal machine. All these machines are, when we are deriving, they are assumed to be ideal. So mechanical advantage is 2, efficiency is 1. Therefore, the velocity ratio would be equal to 2, and that is why I have written it as 2. So the velocity ratio would be 2. So this part is also done. If the tension acting on the string is T, then what is the relation between T and the effort? The T and effort, this is the relation which is there. This question was asked for 4 marks. If the free end of the string moves through a distance x, this free end moves through a distance x, find the distance by which the load is raised. Now, see, try to understand. If this end moves through this distance x, now logically we try to understand, the length of rope would remain the same. This x would be, because this rope would also be, this part of the rope would also be going up. This part of the rope would also be going up. So this x would be divided into 2 halves. So this will move by x by 2. And this part will also move up by x by 2. But if we want to derive mathematically also, we can derive it mathematically also. We have already found the velocity ratio to be 2. And velocity ratio we know is a dE by dl. So, I've been given that the effort, that free end of the string moves through a distance x. This has moved down by a distance x. So when the load is raised, this part has to be, this has to go down by x. So the dE, distance moved by the effort, is x. Distance moved by the effort is x. So dl would be equal to x by 2. So I hope this is making sense. In case there is a confusion, I'll write this again. I'm writing this again so that there is no confusion. See, this part of the effort, this distance will go down by x. So this distance will be x. So 2 is equal to x by dl. And therefore the load will, this x by 2, this load will move up by x by 2. Because this part of the rope and this part of the rope both will move by x by 2. So logically as well as numerically, you should understand this concept. At times this gets confusing. Let's move to the next question. This is an interesting question. If a block and tackle system with convenient direction has 3 movable pulleys, then the velocity ratio is either 6 or 7, should be 6, should be 7, is 3. So let's try to understand this. See, one thing that you need to understand about block and tackle system is there's a line which is written in your textbook. Let's go through that line. The number of pulleys used in movable lower block is either equal to or 1 less than the number of pulleys in the fixed upper block. So in block and tackle, always remember this line. I have taken the snapshot from your textbook only, from Selena publication. The number of pulleys used in the movable lower block. The lower block would be either equal to or 1 less than the number of pulleys in the fixed upper block. So this part, so that is why I've drawn 2 systems. I'll be spending some time to explain this. So we can make actually 2 diagrams where there are 3 movable pulleys. Block and tackle, it will be a block and tackle system, and there will be 3 movable pulleys. What I'm trying to tell you is that there are 2 diagrams that you can draw. This is the first diagram. So let me explain the first diagram. The first diagram looks like this. So this would be this 3. So these 3 are the lower part, and they are movable. 1, 2, 3. These are the movable parts. So if these are 3, I can have 3 above. These would be the fixed part. And I will have 3 above. 1, 2, 3. Now in this case, because now there is a second line which you need to understand, that the velocity ratio is always equal to the number of strands of tackle supporting the load. So the velocity ratio would always be equal to the strings which are supporting the load. So in this case, if I have 3 movable down and I have 3 fixed above, the number of strings which are supporting the load are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this case, the VR can be 6. This was a question which was asked in specimen 24. I think in another specimen paper, this question was asked. So velocity ratio can be 6 in the first case. But if good, that's why this is a good question. But then there is another configuration you can have where there are 3 movable pulleys down. You see, there are 3 movable pulleys down, and there are 4 fixed pulleys above. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, they are part of the same thing. These 4 are joined, and these 3 are joined, and there'll be a load here. There'll be a load which will look something like this. So this kind of arrangement is also possible. I think you would be seeing better now. So in this case, let's try to understand. So this will be the free end. So this rope will go once like this, then second time like this, third time it will go like this, and fourth time it will go something like this. Now if you see the number of, you can draw this again and you'll understand this well. So the number of ropes, the number of part of the rope which will be supporting the load would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is why the answer would be either 6 or 7. I hope this is clear. Just try to make this. I didn't complete the ropes because I didn't want to, do kachra. But let me try if I can draw that neatly. But I'll request you to, draw on your own, because only then it will make sense. Because there are so many ropes, it does all kind of kachra. So let me try if I can show. But please try to do it on your own also. So this is the free end. So this is once the rope will go. This is the second time it will go. This is the third time it will go. This is the fourth time it will go. This will be the fifth time, sixth time, and you will lock it here. Now, if you see, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, and this is 7. So, because it becomes a bit difficult, that is why, I've left some spaces. It should be actually vertical. I haven't done that. So, that is why the answer should be either 6 or 7. It should be either 6 or 7. I've seen this. I've seen people giving this as the answer as 3. So that is not the correct answer. The answer should be either 6 or 7. I hope this makes sense. So let's go to the next question. The diagram shows below block and tackle system. Complete the following label diagram showing the correct connection of the tackle, the direction of forces involved to obtain maximum VR with the convenient direction. So this is how it looked like. This is how the question was given. So this is an easy question. Most of you who would have gone through the chapter would be able to do it. So this is where the effort would be here. This is the string, and that is how it is wrapped. So this is how it will look like. So of course we have to draw the tensions also. So complete the following label showing the correction of the tackle, the direction of forces. So there would be a tension here. There would be a tension here. There would be a tension here, and there would be a tension here. So these are the T. This would be the load. So these 3 tensions would be supporting the load. This tension is equal to the effort. See, in all these pulleys, as I've told you before, if the rope is the same, there is no break in the rope, the tension would remain the same, because these are considered to be massless ropes in all these conditions, all these questions. These are massless ropes, so the tension throughout the rope would remain the same. So it is not required. I'm just doing something extra. So in this case, my mechanical advantage, this is not required. I'm just explaining, is equal to load upon effort. So load is 3T, effort is T. So mechanical advantage is 3, because it's an ideal condition. Ideal condition. Why ideal condition? Because they are looking for maximum VR. So ideal condition efficiency would be 1. Mechanical advantage is equal to efficiency into VR. So VR would be equal to 3, and which is the maximum VR in this case. So we have calculated the maximum VR also. Calculate the mechanical advantage of this pulley if its efficiency is 80%. Now this discussion we have, if you have been looking at the longer version of this video where I've done a lot of questions. So if you are looking at the longer version, I have discussed this in detail. Let's see, in all these tackle pulley cases, the VR for a certain configuration remains the same. So VR is constant. VR won't change. While doing numericals also, you should keep this in mind. In all these cases, the VR doesn't change. What changes is the mechanical advantage as well as the efficiency. So for example, in part B that they have told, calculate the MA of this voltage of this pulley if its efficiency is 80%. And do remember please that the VR would remain 3. The efficiency is 0.8, and therefore the mechanical advantage is 2.4. Another thing that you should keep in mind is that velocity ratio, mechanical advantage, they are just ratios. They don't have any. They don't have any units. So don't put any unit here. They are just ratios. VR is a ratio. Mechanical advantage is a ratio. Efficiency, in a way, is also a ratio. So let's move to the next question. Let's look at the next question. The adjacent shows the movable block of a block and tackle system with effort in a convenient direction. So effort in a convenient direction. From the diagram, we can conclude that the number of pulleys used in the fixed block. We have to find the pulleys in the fixed block. So there are few words which I'll spend some time to discuss. So in a block and tackle system, the above, this is a fixed part. When the rope is done like this and the effort is put like this, then this is what is called a convenient direction. Then, so this would be called the fixed part, fixed pulley, fixed pulley. And now let us look at the question. Let us look at the diagram. So what I see is that this would be the lower part, and this is where the load would be there. This is where the load would be there. Now I see 1, 2, 3. So one of the tricks is that there are three parts of the rope supporting this load. So basically, this would be a case where the this would be the case where the VR would be 3. This is one way of looking at this. So this block and tackle system, in this block and tackle system, the VR would be 3. And when the VR is 3, basically we'll have a configuration like this. We'll have a, this rope would be running like this. This would be the effort, then it will go once like this. Then it will come back, and then, here there will be a hook, which is this hook. So this hook is basically this hook. So these two are the same. So this one is equal to this one. So this is how the configuration will look like. So the number of pulleys used in the fixed block are 2. So this would be the correct answer. Let's move to the next question. In a block tackle system, increase in the weight of the movable block decreases, does not decrease, increase the efficiency of a system. So I'll spend some time to explain this, though it's a 1 mark question, but I'll spend some time to explain this. So what I've done is basically I've taken an example, a simple example of a configuration where there is 2 fixed pulleys and 1 movable pulley where the VR is equal to 3. So in this case, what we need to understand is, in this derivation, what we need to understand is that in usual cases, what we do is that we say that 3T is equal to L, T is equal to effort, and then we derive. But these are the cases where the efficiency is 1, where the efficiency is 100%. But here, the derivation which I'll be doing, in this case, the movable block would have a weight W. So that is why I can't take this. These are not the equations which I can refer to. So these are the equations which I'll have to refer to. See this load, which is the external load, and this W, which is the weight of the movable pulley. So these two would be supported by 3L, by 3T, I'm sorry. This tension, and this tension. So the first equation that I will have would be 3T is equal to L plus W. So this is, I'm deriving the case, I'm taking some time to derive a case where I'm trying to derive the efficiency of a system, efficiency of a block and tackle system, where the movable block has a weight. So I'm trying to derive the efficiency, and then then I'll answer this question. So 3T, these 3 tensions would be supporting the weight of the movable pulley and the load. So 3T is equal to L plus W. This effort would be equal to the tension. So these are the 2 equations that I have. Now I understand that the mechanical advantage is equal to load by effort. So from equation 1, the load is equal to 3T minus W, and this is what I have written here. And the effort is equal to the tension. So the equation of mechanical advantage that I have is mechanical advantage is equal to T minus W upon E. See, here also we can see that the weight of the movable lower half will decrease the mechanical advantage, because it's only, so mechanical advantage is equal to 3 minus W upon effort. It is only when the W is 0 that the mechanical advantage is 3. Otherwise, we understand that if there is the lower part of the pulley has a weight, then the mechanical advantage would be less than 3. That is, it would be less than whatever be the mechanical advantage of a 100% efficient block and tackle system. Now, what we need to understand is that the velocity ratio would always remain 3. In this case, the velocity ratio will remain 3. Why the velocity ratio will remain 3? Because velocity ratio is given by dE by dL. So the velocity ratio is just dependent upon the distance moved by the effort and load. That doesn't get affected by that won't get affected by the weight of the pulley, because the distance moved by the rope will anyways remain the same. So that is why in one of my lectures I have discussed that VR is just dependent upon the configuration. So in this case, the VR would be equal to 3. That won't change. Now coming to efficiency, efficiency is mechanical advantage divided by VR. So VR that we have is 3 minus W upon E that I get from here, and VR is 3. So here if you see this 3T if you see dt upon t minus w upon t. So this 2 and this t and this t has got cancelled. The 3 remains the same, and this 3 is equal to this 3, but the tension has been replaced by the effort. So that is why this, you can see E here, this is derived from here only. So efficiency in this case would be given by 1 minus W upon 3. So here you can see that this weight is contributing in decreasing the efficiency of the system. Weight is contributing in decreasing the efficiency of the system. So that is why the answer would be, in a block and tackle system, increase in the weight of a movable block decreases the efficiency of the pulley system. And even if you don't want to look at all this derivation, it's a very, intuitively you can understand that if the pulley has a weight, if this lower half of the pulley, even if you don't want to derive, I'm just giving a, I'm trying to, explain this very intuitively. If the lower half of the pulley has weight, then of course you will be wasting your effort. It not only pulling up the load. See, this is the load that you have to pull up. This is the load that you want to pull up. So you will be wasting your effort not only in pulling up the load, but you will be wasting a lot of your effort in pulling up this pulley also. Your job is to pull up the load, not the pulley. So that is why you are wasting your effort, and that is why the efficiency of the pulley would be less than the ideal. This one is fixed. This one is moving. So I hope this series, I've done a lot of questions in this series. So hope this series of lectures was useful for you, and best of luck for your exams. Thanks for watching.